Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to AI Marketer. This is the place where you get to understand where AI, how it's fundamentally changing the marketing and retail e-commerce landscape. Our whole goal on this podcast is to reinvent marketing automation with AI. So today, we're going to talk about AI agents. AI agents are a new thing where they're doing work on the behalf of people to complete marketing and retail media tasks. What's really fascinating here is that this is really going to change the way we deal with marketing. Right now, people do the majority of marketing. They use software to make it more efficient, but they're still doing the work. AI agents are going to change this because they are actually going to do the work on our behalf where we don't need to do the work. So today, 80% of retail tasks are done manually. What I mean by this is that if I'm doing a promotion, if I'm adjusting media spend, if I'm adding a new product, all of this is done manually. Only 20%, if that, is actually done automated. The main things that are automated right now are bid automations, time of day, bidding, and a little bit of budget allocation. But for the most part, we're hands to keyboard doing things manually. So in the near future, what I'm projecting, and think about 2026, 2027, going into 2030, is that 80% of retail media and marketing will be automated. This means that you'll have these agentic systems doing work on your behalf in order to make your job easier so you can focus on the things that matter in your business. So here's the reason why people don't understand this right now is because AI moves at an exponential rate. A lot of these technologies are going up and to the right versus people think about technology like age, like hours in the day, very linear. But as we get to, 2025, 2026, you can see that the exponential curve is going to go up and to the right, where all of a sudden we are now going to start seeing the exponential value that's coming from AI. But don't take my word for it. Like Leopold says, count the orders of magnitude. If you think about GPT-3 in 2020, it was like the IQ of an elementary school person. But GPT-4 is like a smart high schooler in terms of intellectual capabilities. If you start looking at 2027 and beyond, this is where AI is going to self-correct. It's going to learn. It's going to be able to do its own research. It's going to be, in a lot of cases, autonomous. This is where the power of AI is really going to start taking hold. So when you think about AI, there's really 5 levels of AI sophistication. The first one that we saw with ChatGPT-3 were these AI chatbots, these question and answers where they could, they could write poetry. They could answer one-step questions that you had. But now we're seeing with GPT-4 that level 2 and level 3 reasoning is coming through. Mostly level 2 though, where this AI reasoning with chatbots is starting to come a hold. What this means is that it can now start reasoning in the context of multi-paragraphs. It can start summarizing. It can start thinking about the question that you have, and if it's multiple parts, and breaking it down to multiple parts of reasoning. But it's not until we get to level 3 where you start to see multi-step actions. This is where these agentic systems can now not just answer questions, but start doing operations on your behalf. Where it gets really exciting, that I get excited about at least, is level 4 and level 5, where you start getting these self-improving AI agents and these AI agent organizations that are doing work, that are an extension of your team, that are taking the day-to-day operations that you're currently doing right now, and they're taking that and getting it off your back so you can focus on doing the creative work and your marketing and your company. Here's an example of an agent solving a multi-step problem. So I asked it, I'm taking a car trip and I'm doing 3 different segments and I'm going a certain distance and I'm going a certain velocity. calculate and report on this. And so this is where I wanted to see if these agentic systems could actually multi-step problem solve. What I found is that OpenAI, this was with the OpenAI 4.0, it actually converted the natural language and understood the context of what I was asking, and it put it into code. What's so amazing about this is that it took it natural language, put it into Python code, and the Python code is similar to the code that I would have written to solve this as a data science engineer. And notice that it does the steps. It even documents the code, calculates the time taken for each segment, calculates the total time for the trip, calculates the total distance traveled, and finally calculates the average speed for the entire trip, and returns this. The best part, guys, is that it was actually able to bring the code back into natural language. And it told me the total time, the total distance, the average speed. This is where this gets really, really impressive, where now it goes from natural language to code back to natural language. So if you think about these agentic systems and how it relates to marketing and retail media, they can now start doing detailed reporting and analysis. They can manage media spend and performance, create and manage product ads, and optimize for share of voice and market share. Basically, anything that you spend your time doing right now, and 80% of that time, flip it. Now 80% of that time will now be for agentic systems doing work on your behalf. So here's where the paradigm shift is actually happening. AI agents will surpass humans in using computers to complete well-defined multi-step media tasks. What this means is that instead of us as people using computers that are AI enabled in order to do the task, AI agents will do the work on our behalf. That means that we will not have to log into the computers and do it. The AI agents will use the APIs, will do the work on our behalf, so we don't have to do that, just as long as we've trained them appropriately. What does this mean for brands, agencies, and AI agents that work together? Well, it essentially means, if you think about in 2030, that we're going to get 10x the efficiency, 10x the throughput, and at 10x the decrease in cost. This means that economically speaking, we are going to be more efficient, more valuable. Our brands are going to be able to grow. Agencies are now going to be doing more with less, which also means that humans will now be able to focus on more creative work. You can now focus on brand direction in the market, perfecting your brand message, hiring talented leaders and operators, and conducting research and interviews. All the things you should be doing as a brand, but you don't get the time to because you're spending your time right now actually focusing on the hands to keyboard stuff. This is the part where AI systems will be able to do it. So if you can tell by my voice, I'm really excited about retail media because I really believe it's fertile ground for AI agents. This is because if you think about any other industry, if you can do something with API calls, that means that you can automatically do something. So bid automation, creating new products, creating new landing pages across Amazon and Walmart, adjusting ad copy, adjusting pictures, all these things you can do with API calls. This means that because the API calls are there, the infrastructure is there, you just have to train a system to actually understand what to do and then do it. So translate natural language down to API calls that can then actually do the work. The two other things that I'm seeing is that a lot of retail media is still manually operated. I see offshore teams and agencies doing the reporting, doing the work, going in and optimizing accounts. AI agents are going to do this just as long as you can train them. Just like the same way you train a person in your company, you should be able to use AI agents to do this work. And simply put, the complexity in data in a brand right now, an enterprise brand, is beyond manageable for people. So let's talk about how AI agents work today. So today they use well-defined tasks. So for instance, if I came to you and I said, I made an AI agent to create a report to outline trends and revenue across all products in my brand, across all ASINs, I can actually do this with OpenAI. I could actually upload an Excel spreadsheet and I can have all the ASINs time series out, all the revenue, all the sales, all the conversions, and I can have an AI agent do this and put it to a PDF or an Excel. But I can't have it solve an ambiguous task, such as looking and converting a high converting product page on Amazon or on Walmart. This is because it doesn't know what a high converting page is. It's too ambiguous. It would have to break this down into simple tasks. And to give you an example, let's talk about running a monthly promotion for one of our flagship brand products on Amazon. It would need to understand and ask a few questions as an agentic system to be able to go forward on this. So the first one is, what product should be promoted? What is the promotion? When should it be promoted? What is the business goal of the promotion? And when should it be advertised? And how should it be advertised? In order for an agentic system to do the same things humans are doing, it will need to ask us questions. It will need to be trained on simpler tasks and build those up to larger tasks that are more complex. Once again, a lot of these systems are first principled approach, so they'll break complex down and ambiguity down to specifics that are well defined. So if I think about building AI software that will allow these agentic systems to flourish, first you need an AI LLM architecture. It has to be multimodal, meaning it has to go natural language to code to natural language, or natural language to video or to pictures, back to natural language. You got to be able to transform between these different mediums. And finally, you need a place to where you can store your criterion weights. If you train it on promotions, as an example that I just talked about, you got to be able to store that context, that previous weights on what worked and what didn't in order to have successful and accurate agentic systems in the future. And you need to be able to manage and maintain communication across agents. You'll have specialized agents in different places. One's managing bids, one's managing promotions, one's managing inventory, one's managing reporting. These agents need to communicate across with each other to make sure that your business is running as you expect it. So the proposed AI agent architecture, and this is simplistic, but it really starts to serve the point, is that should be the core of your architecture. My firm belief is that 90% of architecture out there right now in the next couple of years will really be technical debt. This is because what will happen is architectures that have the data lakes, the data warehouses, will be able to operate their AI agents on top of the data, and you won't need to use single purpose deterministic logic to do what you're trying to do. Here's what I mean by that. If you're trying to run a promotion and you have automation run a promotion, what will tend to happen today is that these softwares will have single purpose routes of how to run a promotion. Do you want to run a 10%, a 15%, or 25%? And it has multiple steps on what to do. An AI agentic architecture will understand the context of what promotions worked previously, what products you added new, why you're doing the promotion, and how to run the promotion and do the steps. So you don't actually have to do the software and you don't have to go in and actually provide the steps in the software to actually do the promotion. I know I'm using a promotion a lot and just as an example, but the key point here is that the AI agent architecture will look at your business logic, communicate to your team, and then wrap the business logic around to automatically ask the Amazon and Walmart APIs the right questions, get the response back, mix it with your business logic to then give it back to you in the way you understand your business. So what I see the future here is that a lot of the software and a lot of the automation is going to come from these AI agent architecture systems where they're just not single purpose, well-defined tasks, but they're able to ask ambiguous and solve ambiguous tasks with questions and with these agentic systems. So I wanted to run a test to see how powerful this is. And what I found is that something that would take my team 2 to 3 hours and let's say $500 of cost to do could be done in 50 cents, such as summarize all campaign metrics, graph out the campaign metrics, identify the highest performers, give actionable recommendations, and export an Excel to a PDF. I did all this and I was able to deliver this to customers for 50 cents. And what's great about this is I could have automated this completely. I could have typed this in and I could do this across 1,000 different accounts. I can't scale people the same way that I can scale agents. This is why this is so exciting. If I can train them to solve complex things in my business, then I can scale them out to thousands of agents, and I can do this for thousands and thousands of brands just like that with the snap of my fingers. But like I said, don't take my word for this, count the OOMs. We're in a really exciting time right now. And the way I see these AI agentic systems is that it's really and significantly going to change the way we deal with retail media. Instead of spending our 80% of our time doing hands to keyboards, we're now going to think strategically. And what's going to happen here is that we're going to have these agentic systems that are so powerful, it's like we're going to have an extension of our team. AI in the future here is going to be so powerful. It's literally going to feel like you just outsourced the most um, the most capable, high-powered agency and offshore team possible to date, but you didn't have to pay the high prices. This is why I'm so excited, because now brands, agencies, offshore teams will now have the ability to really scale their brands, scale their agencies, scale the work, and do the work that once took people to do, but now can take computers to do. So people could really focus on what makes agencies awesome, the creative, the strategic, what makes brand awesome, the brand vision, the product value, and what makes offshore teams great, where they're an extension of your team. Well, as always, thank you so much for your time. And please reach out if you have any questions. My name's Brandon. Appreciate it. Thank you.